Today on r/am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for letting my daughter eat whatever she wants? I, 45 female, have a 15 female daughter. She is extremely active on her school's dance team. They have practices 8 hours a week, and according to her Fitbit she gets 100 plus active minutes a day on average. Because of this, I basically let her eat whatever she wants, packs her own lunches and buys school lunch, eats whatever snacks she wants, eat or not eat the family dinner, all her choice. Because of the long practices, she usually eats a normal-sized lunch, a large snack, and a large dinner every day. However, my husband, her stepfather, has told me that I need to be enforcing healthier eating habits because she's getting chubby. She's always been on the curvier side, but she's a size medium or a size 8 in most clothing items. She's 5'4" and 150 pounds. He told me that she's going to end up obese if I don't fix it now, and that's probably the cause of her knee problems. She's hypermobile in her knees, so they'll randomly buckle backwards and get a mild sprain. I've ignored his concern on the matter because I believe my daughter is fine the way she is, and no doctor has brought up needing to lose weight, and that the knee problems are just an unfortunate genetic component. Both me and her father have similar issues. Does this make me the a-hole? For our next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister she isn't the type of person I want my daughters to look up to? My sister and I are complete opposite. My sister doesn't have many accomplishments, and the last thing I remember her achieving is graduating high school. At 20, she dropped out of college because she was pregnant. She moved in with the father, and for 10 years they were a family. All that time she didn't have a job even when her son started school. Those two never married, and he left her about 2 years ago. She is now pregnant again, new dad isn't involved, works at fast food and barely scraps by. She is constantly asking for money. She actually wanted to move in with me and my kids. My wife travels a lot. I have 2 daughters, and my sister told me she wanted to be closer. She wanted to move into my home, that it would be good for the girls to have a woman they could look up to. She never liked that my wife travels. This isn't the first time she has brought it up, and I have turned her down politely many times. My sister brought it up again last night. I told her no. This resulted in a heated conversation with her asking why. I decided to be honest, and I told her that she isn't the type of woman I want my kids to look up to. I also listed the reasons above. She called me a jerk. The family is now on my behind about this, saying I was heartless to tell her that. They also want me to apologize. Let's dive into our next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad that he's effectively made me homeless? I, 22 male, moved out of my dad's house around 1.5 years ago. The deal he made with me was that I could always come back home if I was struggling too much financially. I'm a university student and also working full-time. My lease ends on September 1st, and since around July, he and I have been under agreement that I can move back in with him starting in September. Fast forward to today. He texts me out of the blue and says that his current girlfriend isn't okay with me living there, and that I'll need to figure something else out. Her reasoning was that she didn't want to have to hear me in the basement late at night since I get off work super late. I would have been quiet. The most noise would have been the alarm going off for 5 seconds when I opened the door. He told me this 2 weeks before my lease is up. I tried to make a case for myself, and told my father that we've been in agreement for months that I could move back in, but he's still refusing. I told him he just effectively made me homeless, and that if I had known sooner that I couldn't move back in, I would have looked for somewhere else. He told me I needed to grow up and handle this like an adult, to figure out my own problems. As it stands, most landlords aren't even renting out for September 1st at this point. I'll have to find a place for October 1st. On to the next story. Am I the a-hole for laughing at my parents for an impossible mix-up? We were staying with my parents for 2 weeks, and my daughter Lizzie is a vegetarian. We bought some impossible beef and was going to use it for a later date. My whole family gives Lizzie a hard time for being vegetarian, but she has been one for almost 10 years from 6 to 16. I have gotten all kinds of heck around the holidays because of things Lizzie wouldn't eat because it had chicken broth or bacon fat in it. I went to the freezer on day to thaw Lizzie meat for burgers that night. It was gone. My mom refused to get cataract surgery and somehow made the whole family Lizzie's gross fake meat, and not one person noticed. It was funny, and I told my daughter and my family and laughed at them. My dad got extremely angry at us because he always talks crap about grilling Lizzie's burgers and calls them gross. There was 2 meals that week. It could have been a meatloaf or taco meat, and no one noticed. My dad is calling me an a-hole, saying how could we be so careless and someone could have gotten sick from eating the fake meat, but it says impossible in large letters on the packaging. So it was my mom's mistake, and no one at the time said the meal tasted any different, not even my picky father. So how judgmental they are of Lizzie. Then Dad refused to have the fake meat in the home because of that, and instead Lizzie ate a mushroom burger. But I told him I think he's overreacting to this. but he told me I could stay in a hotel because I played a mean trick on everyone. He was grumpy with both Lizzie and I for the rest of the vacation. For our next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife I hate her fridgescaping? Recently my wife has taken to fridgescaping. I guess it's a recent trend because I'd never heard about it before this. She started decorating our fridge, and it was really getting on my nerves. For example, she put flowers in the fridge, in vases, in front of food, so you have to move things just to get to the food. She put all our food in fancy baskets, jars, and similar things. I know it sounds absurd, but if you just search up fridgescaping, you'll see what I'm talking about. I didn't care at first because I don't have to use the fridge much anyways. I don't cook a lot. But she's getting too meticulous with it and adding too much decor. It's made the fridge very uninviting for me. She gets upset when I get something from the fridge and don't put things back perfectly. She keeps taking it as a personal slight and acts like I've done something to deliberately hurt her when I haven't. I just find it unnecessary to maintain such an organized fridge. Before she started this, it would take me 30 seconds to grab something quick from the fridge, whereas now, it's a whole ordeal. Last weekend she confronted me after I grabbed some leftovers from the fridge and left it in disarray according to her. I explained how I find the hobby stupid and she can decorate other things, it doesn't have to be the fridge. It gets in the way when I want to quickly eat, when I come home from work hungry and tired and want to grab a quick bite. It's frustrating. I also talked to my son about it and he finds it annoying, which I told her. She didn't argue back after that, and she's removed all of the decorations from the fridge, which I have to admit has been relieving. But she's also been acting very distant towards me and just hasn't been herself, and has been weird intimacy-wise. Am I the a-hole for this? Let's dive into our next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my siblings I don't want to split the bill equally since they have kids and I don't? I have 2 older sisters, both over 30 years old, while I'm still in my 20s. The thing is, I suggested to invite my mom to lunch for Mother's Day, and they were talking about splitting the expenses in 3 parts. Both of them have 2 kids each while I don't. Given past, bad, experiences where the kids were not contemplated in the bill, but still would eat, I told them I did not like the idea of splitting in 3 since their kids should be taken into account. Mind you, the kids are not babies. One of them will soon turn 18. At the mention of that, they did not like it and called me confrontational, and my mom even found out and took their side as per usual. To give you some more context as to why it bothers me, a similar experience happened before during a trip where I had to pay 1/3 out of all the expenses, my mom another and my sister another, husband and kids included. She thought my mom and I were oblivious about the whole thing, but my mom begged me to not say anything to not start a fight, but now I think I've held my silence for long. So the question is, am I the a-hole for wanting the bill to be split differently, considering I don't have kids, and I'm only paying for my share and my mom's? On to the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to dress my twins identically for the family picture? I'm the mother of 1-year-old identical twin girls. I have never liked the idea of dressing them identically because while they are twins, they aren't the same child. So whenever I'm given matching outfits, I mix and match them to make them look different or rotate who wears what. I've always felt it's important they be allowed their own sense of self and not have twin pushed on them as a major part of their identity. Family pictures are coming up soon for my great-grandmother's 80th birthday. We want to commemorate this with pictures, and my mother has booked professional photographs for this. The dress code is formal. I've bought one daughter a sparkly purple dress. She is like a little magpie, anything sparkly, and she is all over it. My other daughter, I've bought a green dress with flowers on it as she loves flowers. I plan to do one daughter's hair in pigtails, and the other will have a hairband. My mother called me and asked me to dress them alike as it will look cute for the picture. I told her she knows how I feel about that, and that we won't be doing that. I told her I'd even bought dresses already. She offered to buy them new matching dresses, but I refused. She told me I was being ridiculous, and it was only one picture and wouldn't kill them. When I asked if she'd bought my brother's daughters who were 11 and 7 matching dresses, she said no. Why would she do that, which led to me asking her why my children should dress alike then, which of course the answer was them being identical twins. This led to a rather heated conversation, and I told my mother that they are my daughters and it's my call. All she needs to be concerned about is them being presentable and matching the dress code. She told me I am being selfish here and it won't matter, pointing out how lots of twins like to dress alike. I told her that if they wish to dress alike one day, I'd not stop them, but till then, this is what I was doing. My brother has since called me and asked me to just do it, that our mother is stressed out and how I can change the girls out of it after the picture, and that it's only a picture, and it'd keep the peace. I know it's only a picture, but it just sits wrong with me. Is it really a holish of me to not bend on this? Our last story for today. Am I the a-hole for forcing 3 of my kids to get a job and charging rent but not the other? I always told my kids that if they go to college I'll take care of everything else. Told them that since they were little kids. Now I have 4 kids. 3 daughter and 1 son. The 3 oldest, the daughters, decided college wasn't for them. I understood, but I told them they can't just sit in my house. I made them get jobs and I charged them rent. $200 a month. They're all doing well, but they all still live in the house. My youngest is 18. That's the boy. He graduated 3 months ago but just got accepted into a college. I did not force him to get a job, as I said if they go to school I'll literally do everything else. He himself decided he wanted a job. He works at FedEx and makes about $300 a week. I don't charge him rent and I'm still gonna try to take care of him until he's done with college. My daughter are more than mad that he's not paying anything. They believe him having a job means he can pay something. They also believe I shouldn't take care of everything for him if he has a job and he's not paying rent. I'm not charging him rent because he's going to school. Him getting a job changes nothing in my mind. He simply saw this as a golden opportunity and is running with it. Am I the a-hole for forcing my daughter to get a job and charge rent while my son doesn't have to pay anything because he went to school? And those are all the stories we have for today. See you tomorrow.